we did a curtain side bang, okay? So I'm gonna recap on the curtain side bang so that you at home or in salon can recreate this and be able to utilize this on your clients. Now I feel like it's really important, and it's fun when you have someone to interact with and asking a question. So I would love it if you guys have any questions as I go along. I see a lot of waves here, and I see a lot of people joining us still. And we got Cassie, Chrissy, I can't really read that one. Perry, I think it is. So I am live with Facebook and Instagram both today. I love to be live with both. To me, the more the merrier. I want to share knowledge. I want to help people grow. I want to help people strengthen their skills. So I have classes called Sharpen Your Skills, and it takes you from the basics, and the basics is the foundation, which is the principles. They are very consistent. It's something that you build every hair design off of. And so I want you to notice when I'm cutting today that every time I'm doing something, I'm elevating the hair up and down. I'm over directing sometimes side to side. And then there's my finger angle, which is in and out. And you know, I say this almost every class that I teach because repetition's the mother of skill. Every time you're cutting hair, it's the head shape, the hair on the head, and you in relationship. So we're working on a round object. So that's why we call the method Hair Metrics 360. This round object, a lot of times we're cutting straight lines. So you're getting into geometry, and you're getting into the measurement of the head shape and then the hair coming off the head shape. So, and I remember being really young, starting in the industry, and I was like super intimidated, and I also had just a feel for weight and balance and design, but having a feeling and then being able to duplicate it every single time that client comes back in. So that was me, the artist. But when I took my art and got technical with it, where I understood if I elevate the hair like this and cut it off, I know what's going to happen. Or if I bring the hair down here, cut it off, I know what's going to happen. So basically we're studying the head shape. And then we're studying the hair on the head and what shape we're putting into it. And once you cut it, where's it going to fall? And how can you repeat that? And so repeating it is where that's the method, because you're not just learning a haircut. And so that's something I just really like to talk about, because I can show you a haircut all day long, but what I really want to do is be able to show you why I'm cutting the hair off and where the weight's going to fall when I do. I always knock the water bottle over. It's my MO. So if you notice, we only cut her fringe area this morning. And so that's from the bevel to the corner of her eye. And then this is getting into the side right here, right? So here's your front. And I have it off-centered. So where I stand, she is off-centered to the right. And the reason I chose that, here's a good thing to, we talked about it this morning also, is here's a good thing to discuss with your client before you start working with them. In the client consultation, what my client, and if you look at my hair, it's a great example. My client likes to part her hair off to this side. So that would be my right side and her right side, because I'm standing right behind her. And so my parting is going to be off to the right. So this is going to be what? If you think about it, it's not going to be sitting in the center, which would be really symmetrical. It's sitting off to the side, which makes it what? And that's what we want to know. There's symmetry and asymmetry. So if you have, everybody has one eye higher than the other and one cheek fuller. And so when you have a higher eye, which in my case is this eye, you want to place the weight over the high eye. It makes it more symmetrical. It drops down, your high eye looks lower because the weight's sitting there, and the lower eye looks higher because you're opening up this side of the face. So it's just like thinking of framing a picture. And so we're calling this a curtain fringe. And the bang area generally is from the highest point, which is the bevel, the top of the head. And I'm going to part it down to the corner of the eye, bevel to the corner of the eye. So in this section, we're going to be subsectioning. And I'm going to start off with splitting it where the part's going to be. But she doesn't have to be definite, but it's slightly off center, right? So off centering the part, I'm working in one division, which is the front section. And I'm just going to go ahead and go through the bang trim again, or the fringe. Everyone calls it something different. So I parted from the bevel. Trying to keep my big arms out of the way. So, and this is something that's easy. It is something you can repeat over and over. And when your client comes back, you'll be able to repeat the same exact bang. If they come in and say, oh, I loved what you did last time. How do you know what you did last time? And the good thing is a lot of times I'll just pick up the hair and I can see my lines. So I'm going to elevate her straight out off the head. So at her hairline, that's a 90 coming to me off the shape of her head. That's where I'm going to lock in my first cutting position. And then everything, all the sections after that are going to go right to it. So it's a pie-shaped parting from the bevel up here to the center of her eye. And you can see where that lands. Bringing her straight out at 90. And I'm going to have my finger angle so that it falls from short to longer. And my finger angle is going to be a 45. So see where that is? So elevation, 90, finger angle, 45. And I'm not over directing it left or right. You can, but today that's not what we're doing. So today I'm bringing it straight out of 90. Now, this is my initial line. And I'm going to be locking everything into that line from here forward in the fringe area. So the second parting is the bevel. And we're going to go to the corner of the eyebrow. And you're going to bring this straight out. And the previous section, which is your first section, now I'm adding my second section. The previous section is your guide. And if you can't see that guide, what do? What would you do if you can't see it? You take smaller, thinner sections. So you can see my finger angle is nice and clean. Now, by elevating this, what is it going to create? Because you can do a low elevation. You can do something in the middle, 45. You can do 90. What is this going to create? I want someone to put in their little comment bar, by elevating the hair versus keeping it down here, what happens if you leave it here? I want to know what happens today by elevating the hair. We gotta get some answers here. So now I'm taking it from the bevel to what area is this on her face? That's her temple. So these are just marking spots that I can consistently think about it and go 1, 2, 3 sections. So bevel to center of the eyebrow, bevel to corner of the eyebrow, bevel to temple. So now this is outward 45 because my fingers are out. And I'm cutting with only the cutting blade, stopping at my knuckle, and then taking the next section. I feel like I can let you guys see better somehow. So you can see even closer. This is the thing about doing things on camera, but we're gonna get better and better at this. So you see how that is the rest of the hair that I'm cutting. Now, the fringe area stops at the corner of the eye. Can you go further and deeper, like into blunt bangs? Absolutely, but today I'm stopping at the temple. And when you elevate the hair, I ask the question, yes, softness. Good job, Melissa. And when you elevate, so the higher you elevate the hair, the more softness, and there's a wider width in the graduation. That means there's going to be more tapering. There's going to be a little bit more of a bevel at the bottom, laying right in through here. And the higher you elevate, the more that it will soften, because the hair will get shorter off the top. The lower you elevate, the more that it's going to create what? I want to hear some fun little things in the comment bars. We got, it just drives me nuts that I can't read this monitor. We got Alberto, Megan, Ray. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm really happy to be here today, and I'm literally doing it just to share knowledge and have fun. When I get done with the fringe area on both sides, we're doing an asymmetrical bang, if any of you are just joining us. And I did it this morning at 10 o'clock with Shauna from Redken. I'm gonna get finished with the fringe area, and then I'm gonna show you a taper and how we can taper it into the side. So now I did the left half, and now we're gonna come over and do the right. And for more control, never hurts to have a little moisture. With my lights here today, it dries a little extra quicker. So I'm gonna keep that off to the side. I'm gonna do bevel to center of the eye. It's a small section, but it's the one that's mighty because it's setting the foundation for the rest of the haircut. I'm taking a piece from the opposite side as my guide. You're gonna see when we're done, there'll be like a slight V on her fringe area that's creating the asymmetrics. This is the area where the curtain bang is gonna part ways. So I had a little tiny piece from this side that showed me as her guide, and I dropped it. So that's bevel to center of the eyebrow. Now we're gonna do bevel to corner of the eyebrow, and we're gonna direct it straight out at 90, and that's off the head shape. So yeah, things as you go higher seem like they're being dropped down, but I'm still maintaining that 90 off the head, and that is where I'm gonna lock in my finger angle. And if you don't see like a nice clean line, then you're elevating too high or too low, because to find that previous line, it should be like a paintbrush. So that's section 2. And now we're going into section 3. And section 3 is from bevel to temple now. We're getting past the corner of her eyebrow. And then you can see like there's the line. And this is what's super important, is your first cutting position is what you're locking everything else into. And I don't cut below it or into it. I cut right at the line. A little hair got left behind. And so you can see what a beautiful little taper. And as this dries, like this is starting to dry over here, you get a slight bevel at the top of the hair of this section. So if you're brushing it down here, yeah, it's gonna look a little scruffy because you elevated the hair. So don't go in and try to cut that out. That's what's gonna create the bevel. And then if you notice, I just determined the length by her mouth. So we wanted to bring all that to there. And so if you notice, there's a little V. It goes from short at her mouth and starts tapering it down around her face. Now we're gonna connect the bangs to the side. So fringe area to the side area. I'm hoping everybody can see. I'm hoping this is lunchtime learning fun time for you. And I am literally doing this all for the love of hair. This started at quarantine for me. I'm gonna bring it all the way from the bevel and bring it straight out over the fringe area. So the hair is being combed. Let's get rid of the hair on this side. Now that you're working with more hair, I like to just clip some things away. So I don't like to spend, I think it's important to understand the head shape and do nice clean sectioning. But I don't like to over comb and over clip, and it's just like being organized and technical and methodical on how you work around the head. I'm going to turn this where you can see it again. Thank you guys for joining, and I love all the waves. Hello, hello. So much fun. Some of you guys, you have the Instagram handles. There's Maria, Richard. There's some that I really can't. David. Oh, there's my brother David. So today we're working on the front section of the head only. And I already did the fringe area, and now we're connecting the fringe area to the sides and top. So my finger angle is 45. I'm elevating straight out of the head at the hairline 90, and I'm bringing everything to that cutting point. Now at this point, we're going to start following that line out and down. So bevel. And when you over direct hair forward, you got to think about what's going to happen when you direct it forward. With this being shorter in the front, and now we're going longer to the side, the shorter pieces will be able to taper back into longer. And you can see right there is my paintbrush, and that's my finger angles 45, elevation 90 off of the hairline. And then drop some of this out of your hand. Try to control when you get too much hair. The best control is between your fingertips and your knuckle. So now you're following the line out. If we wanted to go shorter to the side, all we have to do is change our finger angle. Going from the bevel again. And I'm going to bring everything out. So if one thing to just keep it super simple so that you can repeat this yourself is our original haircut, the original first section is what determined the whole rest of this section. My finger angle is a 45, my elevation 90, and then I brought everything to that same section. And you can see there's a few little hairs from the top to take off. And now I'm going to get rid of that hair, and I'm going to follow on through. See how my fingertips are going to the ground? And then you drop it down. I want you to look at how pretty this tapering starts to happen. It's tapered and it's beveled. So it goes from her mouth area, and that's the length we, through our consultation, that was the length that we determined. And then I'm going to take this piece and follow it through. And like I say always, if you want to change this hair design and modify it and do something a little different, you're just a finger angle away from changing the whole hair design. So now we're going to take the side back section. Now we're in the side section and connecting it to the bangs. I like to be consistent with how moist the hair is from where we started to where we end, because hair does what as it dries? It shrinks. So following through, my finger angle is getting steeper and steeper because we're getting longer and longer. But nonetheless, fingertips are out, and it's an outward 45, and it just gets longer and steeper. So you can let go of some of that hair. I have long fingers. Not everybody's fingers can grab it all and be consistent. So whatever works, whatever you're comfortable with, I want you to see that this is very fun and very simple, and it's very clean. This haircut will grow out and have a beautiful shape, and your client's gonna love it. And the best thing is today we know what our finger angle, we know what our elevation is, and we know what our over direction is, that we can repeat this time and time again. And I will bring her back and show you her hair blown dry when we do our next live, which is on Thursday. So I do lunchtime learning every Monday and Thursday at 12 o'clock as long as I can. Like, if I'm ever not doing it, I'll announce I'm not doing it. So you got your asymmetrics. So she's off-centered. I parted her over to my right, and from there on, it tapered from shorter into longer. And we determined the length by her mouth. And that's like one of the ways you can say jaw, neck, nose, bridge of the nose, eyes, like, and start. This can be done in so many different lengths. Like you can start as short as that and then taper it out. And the more that you elevate the fingertips out, even if it's really long hair, I get behind here and I take a short little piece and I just continue to slide. So this is something that you can practice over and over and over and get mastered, and you'll be able to whip right through it every time. And you'll be comfortable knowing that when you're done, you did an amazing haircut that's gonna last and the client's gonna love, and it's something that you can repeat. So the thing is, now our clients have an expectation of what you did the first time, and if they say, oh my gosh, I loved my haircut last, we talked about that this morning, my last haircut. And then sometimes as an artist, if we didn't have a method going into it and wasn't consistent on how we can duplicate it, then when the client comes the next time, they may be disappointed. Thank you. I'm glad you guys love it. Now we're going from the bevel again and bringing everything out. And it's just a super simple, easy way of cutting the fringe of the hair. So you started off with the bangs, and now we're turning it into tapering it through the sides. And this is technically, in whatever length you want to start, this is technically something you can do on pretty much every client. And it's all just changed up by how short, how long. And now if you notice, my fingers are going in and the back of my hand's going out. So that's how I'm establishing the 45 on the opposite side. So my finger angle again, 45. And if you get too thick of partings, you can start losing your, I always say when I first try something new, I'm all into taking small partings. And even if it's really thick hair, you're gonna want to even do smaller partings. And see, this is where I'm gradually, so now this is my guide for that next section. And it's pretty hard cutting from that side. So I'm gonna switch sides. It's getting a little hairy-carry. And there's all kinds of cords everywhere. Yep, that's the way I roll. Tripping on things, dropping things. But you should see it. Sometimes these wires are connected and I'm like, I bump one and everything goes. So let me see if you guys can see, because body position's everything, but when it comes to doing it for you guys on camera, it's kind of hard for me to get myself out of the way. Yeah, that's not gonna work. But I'm gonna go back to the other side. You guys can't see that. So again, taking this length as your guide for the next section. Let's see how I'm gonna do this. It's a little trickier on this side. Thank you for all the love. So elevating it up, and so what you're gonna notice is I turn the hair like this. I'm not going down like this. That's a whole nother haircut. So I'm bringing it all to my very initial first finger angle. See, I dropped my elevation right there. And that's how you know. So if you notice, the back of my hand is coming up and out, and I'm horizontal with the ground. And see, I use that area right here as my guide to continue on here. Same thing, bring it back out and keep my hand going at a 45. So standing in front of your work is really important. And if you saw even that one section, because I was trying to stay out of the way, that one section, I lost my elevation. And you know, when you lose the elevation, clean it up and move on. And sometimes if it's really bad, just start over. And who says starting over is bad? That's practice, practice, practice. So you're seeing this is a way to taper a little bit of a side curtain bang into the sides of the hair without cutting out all the length. So if she had really long hair like the doll head does, But if you have a client that wants some tapering, thank you. I'm so glad you guys like it and so happy you guys joined and love all the hearts. And from this point, now you would connect the sides to the back. So I did the haircut reverse because this morning we did a little side bang, curtain bang demonstration at 10 o'clock. So we'll come back, and on Monday I'll cut the length, we'll determine the length, and then we'll go in and do some fun soft layers. But you're gonna see, I'll come back with her blown dry, and you're gonna see how pretty. This is like such a great cut, and thank you so much for all the love. This is such a great cut for many different lengths. So you can take the same shape and bring it up and up and up some more. So I hope you enjoyed. I'll be back Thursday at Lunchtime Learning, and we are cutting in a method called Hairmetrics 360 so that you can take your clients and be able to repeat, because the most important thing I think is being able to be consistent, because that's huge when it comes to client retention, because they came this one time and they loved it and they want that same thing, and then you're like, crap, what did I do? Because that can happen as an artist. We have a tendency not to necessarily know exactly what we did. We go by feel, and I like, you know, that's just how people are when they're creative. Thank you. And yet you mix that creativity with the technical and the method of hair cutting, then you can consistently repeat that haircut time and time again. And then at that point, sometimes I get tired of doing the same cut and I start making suggestions as a professional. Let's modify it, and you can modify the haircut by just tweaking something a little bit, and you gave them something new, and that makes them happy and wants to keep repeating and coming back to you, because you are keeping them on the edge of what is current, what's now, and keeping them updated. And I think that's a big part of our job as a professional, and also educating them and also communicating when we do the client consultation. You don't think the client's gonna appreciate that you customize this haircut to their part? And can they flip it around? Possibly, but today we did a custom asymmetric tapered bang with a soft bevel, and then we took the bang area, fringe area, and tapered it into the length on the side. And then this creates a beautiful frame around their face, and it's very balanced, even though it's asymmetrical. It's very balanced, and it gives it design. And that's what's the real fun part, is giving shape and design is what our job is. So for the love of hair, thank you for joining the Savvy Sips today. And I will be back on Thursday, and we'll cut our long-haired doll into picking the back up, doing a nice shape there with a soft layer on top. So everyone enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.